Hello everybody, how are y'all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. What a season it was! What an ending it was! We thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, it was so good. I think this is one of the uh se- best seasons for Man City ever. Maybe I mean this comes close to the Aguero season, the way Sergio Aguero had done it. But I would say, I mean, I know that not all fans would
Sir,
agree with
I'm
this.
having trouble connecting to the internet.
But
It
but
looks
I, but I
like
would
there is
say
an
that
issue with the router and echo device.
just excuse
So
me with
try to
that.
restart the
Alexa is
setup.
talking something in the
Control
background.
F10,
I'm,
then plug the router back in. Wait
I'm
10
very sorry with
seconds.
that.
Once the router is back on and connected to the internet, plug in the echo device.
Yeah. Now that trap is finished. So like I was saying, is this season on par with the Aguero one? I know a lot of fans would disagree with that because that Aguero moment was a really iconic one. That Aguero moment literally defined us as a club. You know, that Aguero moment was like the springboard for us to where we are. So I can understand if people don't want me to compare this moment with the uh, Aguero moment, but I do think if you look at it closely, I do think both of them come close, and also that was 10-man QPR, this was 11-man Aston Villa, with Liverpool wanting having to win the quadruple. I mean, there are so many subplots to this, but. Forget about all that. This video is about looking back at this entire season, a season that that at the beginning it seemed as if we would literally go on burst in. I mean, we didn't get a center forward to start with. We did not get Harry Kane to start with, for example. So it seemed as if that lack of a striker would haunt us. Then the start to the season was. I mean, we'll go through all of it. We'll go through all of the results that happened in this season, and we'll go through the highs and the lows. That's what I wanted to make a video about, because this season was unlike any other season. The kind of emotions I experienced, especially since the winter in the season, were something else literally. I mean, this season was a little bit different. The season was a little bit different because at one point it seemed that Premier League title was ours. At one point it seemed that we are the favorites for the Champions League. But then at another point it seemed that we would end the season with no trophy. So it was such an unpredictable season, such a roller coaster one. Tanmay Singh is here. Hi bro. Hey Tanmay, how are you feeling, man? So let us go through the journey of this season. As you can see on the screen, I mean, we started it off with the Community Shield. I remember that Leicester City beat us in that match, and I remember making a video after this, after that match. I mean, I was so frustrated with what Benjamin Mendy did in that match. I still remember. I think that was the few matches Benjamin Mendy played for us that season, and Benjamin Mendy was constantly beaten on the flank by the winger. I think it was by Harvey Barnes. So Mendy was single-handedly responsible for us losing that match against Leicester City. Okay, well, it was just a Community Shield. I mean, but still I was unhappy because I thought we would go into the season buying a left back. We didn't get a left back. I didn't think Zinchenko was capable of holding it on his own, and Benjamin Mendy. I mean, that was such a irritating start to the season. It was a bit of frustrating start. Tanmay Singh says, bro, I'm also City a fan. What a season this has been. Exactly, Tanmay. This has been a one. I can't even describe it. One of the best seasons. I would just compare this to that Aguero season. That's why I wanted to specially make this video where I wanted to go through each of the match from the starting till the end and discuss it with you guys. At what point did you feel that high point? At what point did you feel excited in the season? What were the low points of the season? Where did you think the title race suddenly seemed to have lost momentum? I just wanted to go through each fixture and discuss all of that with you. I thought that will be really exciting. So the Premier League season began with us playing Tottenham Hotspur. Nuno Espirito Santos. I remember they appointed a new coach back then, and in the a City fan reminded me when we were losing to Spurs. He was telling that we haven't scored in the Tottenham Stadium for the last 2 seasons, 2.5 seasons. So that curse continued again. That curse continued again into the season. We lost the game 1-0 there, and I was a bit frustrated in that game because I thought the game should have been a draw, but then Nathan Ake showed Son onto his weaker foot, and still Son scores the goal. So and then at that point, I think we didn't even have our centre backs available as well. Laporte and Ake started, so Diaz was not there. Stones was he was late in coming back, so. It started badly. It started with 1-0. And then, at this point after the first match, especially with what Chelsea did in the Champions League, all of us as City fans were thinking, Chelsea is our prime contender. If you see the predictions of most of the people, they saw Liverpool as third or even fourth. They saw Chelsea as being the contender. Chelsea were playing that back three system. It seemed unbreakable. I mean, Chelsea were almost, it seemed as if Chelsea were almost invincible and they would kick on with the addition of Lukaku and stuff. But the next match was against Norwich, who were shit. Honestly, everyone had Norwich to go down, so Norwich were shit. So, and then we played Arsenal. Arsenal at that stage, they were shit as well. Mikel Arteta. At that stage, I remember against Arsenal, everyone was shouting, Mikel Arteta go out, Mikel Arteta should be sacked after just 3 games and everything. And that match was significant as well because that match against Arsenal, Gabby started as a right winger. And then as Gabby started as a right winger, and then you began to feel against Norwich, he provided 2 assists and a goal. And then against Arsenal, he provided an assist and a goal, I think, a goal or 2. So you began to wonder what was the future of Ferran Torres at the club. Did Gabriel Jesus really own that right wing? What would happen to Raheem Sterling? What would happen to Riyad Mahrez? There were many questions back there. But all of us were happy that we had Gabriel Jesus there, who was better than Sterling in terms of finishing and stuff. That is what we felt at that point of the season. Tanmay Singh says, hey bro, your content is amazing. Try to collab with others. It will help you. City till I die. Yes, Tanmay. And thank you so much. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support. Yes, a lot of collabs are coming. I'm trying to reach out to others and collab with them. Especially this transfer window. I think it will be interesting for City. It won't be an unpredictable one because we know who the targets are, but it will be an interesting one in the way we approach it to, when the Champions League, especially next season. How do we make ourselves even better? That is the challenge this season. And then after the Arsenal match, we went into September. If you see, we played Leicester. At that time, Leicester was very hard because Leicester just defeated us in the Carabao Cup. So I really thought that Leicester was a really hard game, and something interesting happened in these first few games. What happened was Bernardo, Gundogan, and Rodri were playing in the midfield. It was a midfield two of Bernardo and Gundogan. This is very significant because with Bernardo and Gundogan as a midfield two, Bernardo was getting forward a lot. He was making those second runs. Gundogan was staying back a little bit, and I mean, but Bernardo was in the goals. It actually seemed as if Bernardo was challenging Mo Salah in terms of being the player of the year, in terms of the impact and all. And the midfield looks stable. I always think that Gundogan, Bernardo, and Rodri are the best midfield three for City. Even though you may think that Kevin De Bruyne is a really good midfielder, I know, but in terms of the midfield balance, I think Gundogan and Bernardo are much more better. And then we went to RB Leipzig in the Champions League, and we beat them 6-3. I remember that match for Nkunku scoring all of those 3-headed goals, I think, 2-headed goals. And I was thinking how Ake and Diaz were the center backs then, and I was thinking how is this happening? Are we so weak in the air? And this was the time Chelsea was beginning to push on. This was the time Liverpool were beginning to push on. And then and then it was City and Southampton. This was our first hurdle of the season, City and Southampton. Our last minute, Raheem Sterling scored, was offside. He gave a pass to Foden and he had a goal chalked out. Raheem Sterling. So that was a bit of a heartbreak. But this was the first time I felt maybe there's some sort of a weak link in our team, because Chelsea were literally winning everything by that point. Liverpool were going on and doing really well by that point. So I thought this was the first hurdle, and then we went and smashed Wycombe Wanderers in the EFL Cup, which was, a lot of our youngsters got the chance. Cole Palmer actually scored in this match as well, I think, against Wycombe Wanderers. So that was interesting, and then this was a big game, because until then it seemed Chelsea were invincible, and then we went there. I thought that was interesting. How would Pep react against Chelsea? Because Thomas Tuchel defeated him in 2 games, in an FA Cup game and the league game, and also the Champions League final. So against Chelsea, I thought early on in the season, if Chelsea win that match, I was pretty much sure they'll be in the pole position, even though it was just September, that they would win the league. So I was thinking, how will Pep react after losing 3 matches against Thomas Tuchel? The reaction was just brilliant. Pep just played Bernardo Gundogan in the midfield with Rodri, and Bernardo Silva was just amazing. He was just godlike, pressing everywhere, and Chelsea had no response. Lukaku in that match had 1 touch in the opposition box. So that was how good City were. So we cruised through Chelsea, and that really gave me confidence that, well, we could go to Chelsea's home, Stamford Bridge, and then defeat them. This was a marker in the season. This was the first point in the season where I felt, wow, this title race is going to be very exciting, because we went and defeated Chelsea, our main contender. So I thought we were in the pole position. Little did I know how Liverpool would come back. I made the mistake of underestimating Liverpool, literally. And then the game against Paris Saint-Germain, against City. This was an interesting week. We had Chelsea, we had PSG in the midweek, and then we had Liverpool next. So 3 games in the space of 7 days, and we couldn't afford to lose any of the games, especially in terms of the Premier League. And we lost against Paris, but that was the one fixture we could afford to lose, actually, because that would not have made a big outcome. And it was surprising, because we were the dominant team in that match against Paris Saint-Germain. But then Messi, it was on the counter-attack. Messi scored 1 of his goals, but that didn't matter much in the long run. Liverpool City, this was one of the best games of the season, I would say, along with the return leg. One of the best games of the season, Liverpool City. We dominated. See, people ask me, why do we need Erling Haaland? This Liverpool game is a prime example of why we need Erling Haaland. We dominated Liverpool. In the first half, we should have been at least 3 goals up. 3 one-on-ones. Foden missed a one-on-one. Grealish missed a one-on-one. It was just 3 one-on-ones at Anfield. In the first half, Liverpool were shell-shocked with our intensity, with our pressing and all. They could not do anything. They could do nothing. And still we let Liverpool off the hook. It went in 0-0 at the end of the first half. Liverpool scored first, and then we finished it 2-2. This Liverpool game was a prime example of why we needed Erling Haaland. And then City, Burnley, that was an easy game. Burnley, they got relegated now, but when back then Burnley weren't playing that well. Easy 2-0 win. And then in the Champions League, it was nothing special against Club Brugge. I think PSG drew against Club Brugge, but City is City. We defeated them 5-1. Nothing much there. This Brighton game was interesting. Don't be fooled by the score line there. 4-1 score line. The thing in that Brighton game was we were comfortably up 3-1 in the first half, but in the second half, Graham Potter put a diamond in the midfield in that game, and it almost seemed impossible for us to play through Brighton. Brighton pressed us off the park in that game in the second half. Brighton were the better side in that game in the second half. They dominated possession against us. That's why I really fondly remember that game. I remember after that game, I was speaking with you lot, and I was telling a friend as well that if and when Pep Guardiola leaves, I would want Graham Potter at City, because just forget how big the manager is to choose from to replace Pep. You need someone who can get solutions to problems, and that is why Pep is so good. He's struggling against Aston Villa, solution. Put on Gundogan, put on Raheem Sterling, bring on Zinchenko. So Graham Potter for me did the same thing against Manchester City. He dominated the midfield. So Graham Potter really impressed me in that game, although we won 4-1. And I had to thank Brighton also. I think Brighton, they drew 2-2 with Liverpool at Anfield, I think. So they were partially responsible for us winning the league as well. And then EFL Cup. This was for me a heartbreak here, West Ham City. That match, we didn't have much of the first team. I remember Egan Riley was playing at right back. We had someone at left back. Romeo Lavia started that game. So that was for the kids, but we drew it. And penalties are a lottery for me. West Ham won it. You know, this Carabao Cup thing, people underestimate us winning it in the last 2-3 seasons. But where I got angry is Liverpool win it this season, and people are, oh, Carabao Cup. Wow, Liverpool have won it after 10-15 years. What is it? Mate, we have been winning the Carabao Cup since the last 3-4 years. You can see the bias that Pep was talking about. Bias in the media, bias for everywhere else. So we were out of the Carabao Cup. Here, when we were out of the Carabao Cup, I was like, is this season going to be a bit worse? Because generally Carabao Cup is the trophy we win. And then in February, the final of the Carabao Cup is generally held, so we win it. And then that gives us momentum to kick on for the rest of the season. But in 3 years, we have lost it once. I was thinking a little bit of a doubt. What is it? Tease it. And then we played Crystal Palace. This was, oh my God, Crystal Palace still brings nightmares into my heart. Crystal Palace have done a league double over us. No, they haven't done. They have taken maximum amount of points from us, I think, along with Spurs. So Crystal Palace, I remember Laporte got a red card. That was just a lot of mistakes at the back. Zaha scored 2 goals. You know, when we were losing against Aston Villa 2-0, all of my memories were back to that Crystal Palace game. We're losing 2-0 there. We couldn't do anything. Under this much pressure on the final day, could we come back? And Aston Villa technically have a much better defense, midfield attack than Crystal Palace. But that Crystal Palace game after we went out in the EFL Cup was just like a doom. It was like, what is our season gonna be? Already lost against Spurs, now lost against Crystal Palace. We've already lost 2 games and it's just October. We're out of the EFL Cup. Is this gonna be one of them seasons? One of them seasons when Pep first came, right, in 2016 or something. That was the time when we lost the EFL Cup to United's Jose Mourinho, and then we didn't get a title that season. Is it gonna be the same thing? Because since then we have not lost the Carabao Cup. But that loss against Crystal Palace really hurt me, because it was at our home. And we still had to go to Crystal Palace away later on in the season. So that was interesting. And then Champions League, Club Bruges 4-1 was a formality. United City, before that derby match, Liverpool had gone to United and defeated them 4-0 or something. Ole was still the manager then, and I was like confident in that game. You know, people like Gary Neville were telling before that game that City will defeat United like 1,000 cuts, not like Liverpool blitzing through and all. That's what we did. Dominated possession, dominated everything. Literally, we just humiliated United at Old Trafford. That is the best word. You know, they couldn't get the ball off us. They were ashamed. United players were ashamed in that derby game. That's how stupid we made them look. We made them look like absolute clowns. And then we go to Everton. This Everton game, don't be fooled by the score line again. I again remember it was very difficult. Everton was very dodged in defense. And then Cancelo plays a ball onto Raheem Sterling. It is an outside of the football. that outside of the foot assist, that was amazing. And I'm very sure Raheem Sterling had finished this closing his eyes because Sterling almost finished it with outside of his foot. I mean, how many of you here agree that Sterling can finish? Well, Sterling can't even finish a packet of crisps. Sterling can't even walk with the ball into an empty net. So that Sterling finish was amazing. And then once we got that first goal, it was just Everton were just rollovers. And also at that moment, it was Rafael Benitez Everton. So they were organized, and I thought it would be difficult because we drew a lot to Rafael Benitez Newcastle the season before, and even 2 seasons before as well. So, but we cruised through, and Everton was on a decline. Now, this was the game that I kind of think was a real turning point in our season. It gave us that little bit of lost confidence, especially after that Crystal Palace defeat. Paris Saint-Germain were 1-0 up going into the break in this Champions League game, and you were thinking City will finish second in the group. City are set for a tough last 16 tie. Paris Saint-Germain are going to do the double over City. We come back in the second half with 2 goals down. This comeback might seem ordinary at this stage of the season, especially in November, but the significance of this comeback is it filled us with confidence. It filled us with confidence for the things to come after, and also it meant that we finished top of the group, Champions League group, which again is significant for me. Again, City, West Ham United, I remember this day, it was fully snowy. Even watching it on the telly, I couldn't see the ball enough. So this was like the weather conditions were awful, the wind was there, it was snowing continuously on the pitch. I was like, we can't afford to lose this game, because Liverpool and Chelsea by then were really going well, especially Chelsea, not Liverpool as much. So I was thinking that somehow let us get out of this game with something, with a win. I don't know how, but somehow. And then Gundogan scores the goal again. And this Gundogan goal in this match was again significant, because if you just put on the highlights of this match, City against West Ham, you'll see that the assist which Mahrez provides to Gundogan was kind of similar to what De Bruyne provided to Gundogan against Aston Villa. So that's really significant. And then we go into December. And in December, we play Aston Villa. I mean, Aston Villa was tough. Even then, I think, was it Steven Gerrard then? No, Steven Gerrard didn't come to Aston Villa that time, I think, at the 1st of December. But this was a tough game again. Villa were organized. I think Villa gave a tough game to Chelsea before that as well. Did they draw with Chelsea? I don't know. But this was wonderful. I remember Gabriel Jesus giving a great cross on the counter-attack, and Bernardo Silva hitting a volley. So this Aston Villa game was tough with the scoreline. It was tense. We went into the break 2-0 up. But then Ole Watkins scores early in this Aston Villa game, and it was 2-1. And literally from 47 minutes to 90 minutes, City were just protecting the ball. We were afraid to go forward. I mean, it was a really tense game. It was a very tense game. And, on the 1st of December, we somehow won it. Watford City, that was very straightforward. We all knew that Watford were going down, and they were not good at that time of the season as well, so that was straightforward. And then Leipzig City, this one, I know we lost it, and this game was when Pep called out Jack Grealish, Pep called out Riyad Mahrez, especially Jack Grealish, and told him that he did not do enough for the team. He was not doing enough defensively. He didn't track back enough. So this was the moment, especially after Leipzig, you began to think, no, Grealish is not going to contribute as much throughout the season as we had expected. He will take an entire year to settle in. By then, people were calling Grealish as a flop and all of those things. So this Leipzig game we lost, but then PSG also drew somewhere, and we finished top of the group. So didn't matter much, but what mattered then was Pep singling out Jack Grealish for his lack of defensive work, and us fans realizing Grealish is not ready yet. City Wolves, this game was, I think, the tense game of the lot in December. It was tense because Wolves, the previous week they played Liverpool before playing us, and it was 91st minute and still they were drawing 0-0 against a Liverpool where you should remember Mo Salah was in Ballon d'Or form, literally he was in God level. People were telling give him the player of the year, now he was unplayable. And with that Liverpool team, Wolves contained them for 91 minutes. I remember it was so cruel for Wolves, but at the end, in almost the dying seconds of the game, Sadio Mane pokes a ball into the net and Liverpool eventually win 1-0 against Wolves. So I was thinking Wolves is going to be very difficult, even if it is at our home. And they were defensively very strong. And the other nervous moment in this game against Wolves, Sterling took the penalty. It was Joao Moutinho handball. We got a penalty, and Sterling took a penalty. He hit it straight down the throat, straight down, and then Josesa almost saved it. So that would have been points dropped had luck not been on our side. At this point, City were actually not clicking into gear. It was not seeming as if it was the City we all know. City were like, yes, we were nicking results, 1-2 Aston Villa, 1-0 Wolves, losing it in between to RB Leipzig. It was as if we were getting on the boil, again going off the boil, getting on, going off. There was no amount of consistency back here, but consistency was just starting in December, especially after that Wolves game. Something clicked. City against Leeds. Just see the score line, and if any team sees this, they'll be scared. And literally the game was scary as well for any opposition team. It was just too much. 7-0. By the time Kevin De Bruyne, he was fit and he was playing, he just showed what he's made up of. City just blitzed through Leeds, and the entire league they just stood up and they were like, wow, City were just nicking results from till now, but now City is like just onto another gear. It seemed as if City have switched from the manual gear to their auto transmission gear, and now no one, not even Pep Guardiola, can stop City. You'll see the results next. Newcastle City, it just didn't seem like it was a match. 4-0. Leicester City, Man City, we were 5-0 up, and then Leicester scored 3 goals. That was how dominant we were. We scored 5 in the first half. Leicester were damn scared. Look at that. Between those 3 matches against Leeds, Newcastle and Leicester, we scored 7, 13, 17 goals in 3 matches. That is almost 4 goals a game. No, 6 goals a game. Close to 6 goals a game, and that was just... people were telling this City team can just be comparable to Pep's Barcelona now. That's how we were ending December, very strong. And by December 29th, Liverpool have dropped. I think Liverpool didn't get many points in December. I think they didn't even win a game in December. They were just drawing games in December. They were winning here and there, but they were mostly drawing games in December. So... everyone would have told that the title is yours. Even a few pundits on the TV were telling the title is yours. Just take the title. And now Liverpool were to lose Salah and Mane in the early parts of January to African Cup of Nations. So everyone is like, Chelsea went off the boil, and everyone is like, give the title to City. Well, give the title to City. It's over. Brentford City, that was difficult, but De Bruyne combined with Phil Foden's slick finish, it was an undefeatable ball. People were telling when City don't blitz through the opposition, De Bruyne's quality comes through. There's no point in even City competing for the league title now. Just give the league title to City. That's what people were telling at this point of the season. And then January came, the 1st of January, Arsenal. Arsenal by now were a very well improved team. Arsenal by now they were playing some really good football. I thought this will be a difficult game. The reason was Mikel Arteta. He loves to counter against Pep, but now Mikel Arteta had his first choice fullbacks who he wanted to. He had a midfield he could rely upon with Thomas Partey at its base and stuff like that. So I really thought this game, Arsenal City, will be difficult because for the first time since Mikel Arteta took charge, an Arsenal team will challenge City possession for possession, will challenge City to have the ball, will press City high up the pitch. So this was going to be a very interesting game for me, Arsenal City. And I mean, to be fair play, Arsenal absolutely dominated us. We were struggling down the left-hand side, Zinchenko's side. Gabriel Martinelli was just scraping through our fullback, and we were struggling in this game. I thought we will lose this game, and at that moment I didn't know the significance of this. I was like, even if we draw this game against Arsenal, it will just be fine, right? We won, we blitzed through the entire December without even a draw. We won all of the games in the December, we won most of our games in November. So even if we lose this game, I thought at that moment it wouldn't matter much. But in a lot, in a wholesome sense of the season, it would have mattered. This game against Arsenal, should remember that Gabriel got sent off for two stupid fouls on Gabriel Jesus. Their defender Gabriel got sent off, one for scuffing the penalty spot, and then Rodri, this Arsenal City game was, so many memories here. Rodri scores that goal in the dying minutes, and then he goes to the away end at Arsenal, and he was like, he removes his shirt, and he was like, this, he was doing this. And all the Arsenal fans were throwing bottles and everything at him. That was, that was a statement from Rodri telling, your history, Arsenal. All of your records are in the history of not won a league title since, I don't know, since when, since I was a child. So that was a significant moment, looking the Arsenal fans in the eye and telling them, we have arrived to dominate this decade. So that Rodri goal had a lot of significance, and that Rodri goal really, it really sent a warning to the league that even if you play well against us, even if you dominate us on the day, we will still get at you, we will still win you. Because what we need is two world-class moments to win against any team in the league. I remember a lot of people on the social media and all being a bit terrified about City. They were like, the City is now, it's almost even, it is almost going beyond the levels of Pep's Barcelona. They're not playing well and still they're winning. How do you beat the City team, man? What is this? They're turning, some people were like, you've made this league boring and things like that. But then we go to Swindon Town. I mean, this was a straightforward one. And in this, I think, is this the one? Swindon Town actually went into the lead, I think. And then we came from 1-0 down and won it 4-1. But this was just the beginning of the FA Cup, and it was like, it was like a straightforward fixture. And then against Chelsea. Now, most of the people were predicting this will be the start of City have to lose form somewhere. All of the team go through their dips. The dip of Liverpool was in December, where they sort of didn't win many games. They drew many games, which eventually didn't let them have the title. Chelsea had their dip in November, December-ish sort of a thing. So people were asking, how is it possible that the City team cannot have a dip? The dip of the City team will be in February, maybe will be in March, it might be in January. So people were thinking the dip is inevitable, and my God, we had a dip, but not in January. So we went to Chelsea, and this game was even better. This game was even more, we were even more dominant in this game than the first leg. We just played Chelsea off the park, and even in this game, I think Lukaku played in this game and he was shite. Timo Werner also played in this game. I think when he was shite, Lukaku had just 2 touches in the opposition box. We didn't give them any chance. De Bruyne just went through from midfield to the Chelsea defense, and he just, De Bruyne put N'Golo Kante in the mud in this game. That is what I remember, Chelsea against City, and it finished 1-0, and now people were convinced Chelsea were not the competitors to us, to our league title, because they were already 11 points, 14 points away from now. And at this stage, even Liverpool were 14 points away from us. But one thing was, we were discussing this constantly on our channel, on the social media forums, everywhere, all of us City fans, that even though Liverpool were 14 points away, They had 2 games in hand, which made it 8 points, right? And then they had to play us, which effectively made our lead cut down to just 5 points. So 5 points in a title race is nothing. We have seen 5 points lead cut off in just 2-3 games. Happened with United when City were 8 points behind United with 5 games to go in the 11-12 season. It always happens. Liverpool had a 7 point lead heading into February in the 2018-19 season. So it happens. I mean, so honestly, a 5 point lead on Liverpool wasn't big. We knew it, but the media and other fans didn't quite realize it at that time. They were like, oh, points on the board are important than games in hand. But at that point, I don't know, I had this slight feeling that Liverpool will somehow come up because they've had so much of a blip that they just had to go on a roll, especially with the signing of Luis Diaz. And then Southampton City, 1-1. I was really upset in this game, Southampton City, because Sterling had an open goal, man. Okay, we went down 1-0. We came back 1-1 from a Laporte set piece, but then Raheem Sterling had an open goal to tap into. We don't lose this game, and maybe the title race would not have come as far as it has come. So Raheem Sterling open goal. Again, another game in which why we need Erling Haaland. One game there was Southampton 0-0 draw. Another game is Southampton 1-1 draw. Again, why we need Erling Haaland. Now, and then the FA Cup game comes in February against Fulham. Which is quite an easy game. Okay, Fulham were the championship side. Fulham were playing a style of football that would delight Pep, and then Fulham went 1-0 up as well. And Liverpool's highly rated midfielder, I think Liverpool have signed him, Fabio Carvalho was playing there, so Fulham went 1-0 up, but then City just blitzed through. That was an easy FA Cup fixture. City Brentford. Brentford wasn't as big of a test now as they were in the first leg. You could see a bit of tiredness in them coming through the end of the season. February, they weren't at that level like they were at the starting of the season. You know, newly promoted teams, they have this. They blitz through the first half of the season, like Norwich did a few seasons ago. But then in the second half, their legs tell, and they just cannot sustain the rigors of the Premier League. And then Norwich was at that point already in trouble. They were already going down. So Norwich City was, it was the result was foregone. It just was who will score how many. And then we were drawn against Sporting in the Champions League, and that was honestly, we blitzed through them 5-0, and Sporting were a counter-attacking team, and the moment we got the first goal, I knew the tie was over. And then the second leg against Sporting was honestly boring because you lead the Champions League last 16 leg final. And then this was the game that set the cat among the pigeons. This was the game against Tottenham Hotspur that really released Liverpool into the title race. It really gave them hope, and it really put down that doubt amongst us. After this game, a lot of City fans were doubting. Southampton 1-1 draw. City were just beginning to drop those points. But then that 1-1 draw against Southampton, people saw it as a bit of an aberration. Will happen, it's just a draw. But this defeat against Spurs, that to the manner of it, we were 2-2 at the end, and then Harry Kane scores an header, but that's fine. You lose games of football, but the way we lost this game literally provided a template for a few Premier League teams to try out against City. Harry Kane was dropping into the midfield, Son high, Kulusevski high, and Spurs were just switching the ball from one fullback to Kulusevski, and then so no one can cover such a length of the pitch, right? So for example, Emerson Royal to Kulusevski to Son goal. It almost seemed unplayable at some times, that the template of what Conte set up against City. The manner of the defeat really put a big dent into our confidence. It was at this moment where you genuinely felt, okay, now we had that 5 point lead because Liverpool 2 games in hand and we had to play them. That meant 5 points. Now you lost against Spurs, which means the lead was effectively cut down to 2 points and Liverpool were winning all their games. So effectively, the lead was cut down to 2 points, taking into account that we had to play Liverpool as well. And then Everton City. This was a game where we couldn't afford to drop points because effectively we dropped points here against Everton. It meant that the league title's destiny would almost be in the hands of Liverpool. They just had to defeat us, and that's it. And win their matches in hand, they would go ahead. So this was the point where that match against Everton was so nervy, and at that point it became clear Lampard came, Everton were sort of fighting a bit of a relegation battle. Will they go down? Won't they go down? So it was really difficult that to go into Goodison Park and stuff like that. We struggled in that game. We only won that game against Everton just because Michael Keane was tired and he couldn't defend a low cross straight to him. He misjudged it. Phil Foden was there. 1-0. I mean, you could argue that carelessness from Michael Keane, but I would say that is what City do to teams. They make you lose your legs. And then in came March. I mean, I was just relieved. I just breathed a sigh of relief after that Everton game. I was like, wow, that could have really been us out of the title race then and there, knowing what Liverpool are capable of doing. And then other FA Cup match, Petersburg United. It was quite straightforward. And then the derby, again, one of the most one-sided derbies, United. I know Ragnick came by then, but United were just terrible this season. All of the fans will tell you. So it was one of the most one-sided derbies you'll get. I mean, you can be really stupid terrible as a team, but especially if it's a derby, there's some kind of matchup. Even though you don't have the talent, I've seen lesser teams in derbies stand up to teams with much bigger talent. City did that when we were not at this level in the early 2000s. I mean, all of that against Manchester United. But no fight, no appetite, nothing in Manchester United. So Manchester United literally were sitting ducks and we defeated them. And then now we went to Sporting. That was one of the most boring games, I would say, especially with us having a final lead. It seemed Pep wanted to give City a rest, and now this is the game that really set the alarm bells off. Crystal Palace, Man City. At this game, you should have seen. I mean, this was away at Palace. We never had a good record away at Palace. Bernardo Silva misses an open goal here away at Palace. Early on, Palace defend like their lives are dependent on it. Again, Palace block our midfield passing lanes. Their fullbacks are very good. 0-0 draw. I mean, at this point, you knew after that Spurs defeat and draw with Palace, the title race is bang on. And at this point, it strikes you as a City fan that whatever you are thinking at this time is very true. That 14-point lead is just a hoax. That 14-point lead is just a smoke screen and nothing else. It was just put up by all of the other fans of other clubs and all just to put pressure on you because the lead is evaporated now. Now at this point, I think we just have a 1-point lead or a 2-point lead, something like that. So the game against Liverpool became very, very important. And then we went to the FA Cup and then we defeated Southampton. I mean, it was 1-1, but that was quite a formality. We defeated them, we defeated Southampton. But at this point, you knew that from this point on, from April starting to the end of May, could be one of the most difficult periods you could have as a City fan. It could be one of the most tense periods. Get the BP machines out. Some of the BP, get a spare BP machine. We were very sure that some of the BP machines will break because that's how tense it was going to be, especially because we drew Atletico Madrid. And then we had this, Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, Atletico Madrid. We had these 3 fixtures in a row. Which means in 6 days, 3 fixtures. That too against Atletico, Liverpool, Atletico. Wow. Oh, what a tense this thing. Okay, we defeated Burnley. Burnley got out of the way. And then we went to Atletico Madrid. And to everyone's, it wasn't a surprise, but Diego Simeone just set up very defensively. He was like, he literally didn't play a striker. It was 5-5-0 or something. That was the formation, Griezmann and Joao Felix were just playing in the midfield as CDMs in that match. But anyway, Phil Foden, again a substitute, he comes in, gives De Bruyne the ball, and De Bruyne scores. We get out of it 1-0. But still the pressure is there. After the match, we breathed a sigh of relief after that Atletico match as City fans. I was talking to a friend after this Atletico match, and he was like, how much longer should we have to bear this tension, mate? Because 1-0, the tie was not over. 1-0, nothing was over. In fact, after the match, Simeone was happier than Pep that it was just 1-0. Because Simeone knew that back at the Wanda Metropolitano, it will not be any easier. We can just compress them and teach them what Champions League football is about. So after that Atletico match, we were not happy at all. Simeone was the happier one. And then we go into this Liverpool fixture. So it was almost like in the space of a week, you could be out of both the Champions League and the Premier League, and your season, which went through a flawless December, could be over in the mid of April. What a travesty that would have been. We went to Liverpool, we scored the first goal against Liverpool, and then Liverpool equalized. We scored the second goal against Liverpool. Liverpool equalized again, 2-2, one of the best games I've seen, end to end, no time wasting. And then Riyad Mahrez misses a one-on-one against Alisson. He misses a sitter. I was like, Riyad, 2018-19, you missed the penalty against Liverpool and you ignited the title race. Here, you go one-on-one against Alisson. That was a finish you would do in your dreams, and you couldn't finish. But then, at the end of the day, we were happy with the point. We all breathed again that we live for another day. We all were like, that at least the title race is not over. At least we are alive in the Champions League as well. So now, and it's been a tough week. Kudos to the players. So let us go into that Atletico Madrid leg. Wanda Metropolitano going back to Madrid, not easy. This match against Atletico Madrid was the turning point of the season. If you have to pick a match where our season turned, this is the one. Because without this match, I'm pretty sure we are in the Champions League final. Without this Atletico Madrid Man City second leg, I'm pretty sure we win the league 2 matches before. What happened in this match was they were literally kicking Kevin De Bruyne. The referee was not doing anything. They were kicking Phil Foden. They were angry on Phil Foden because Foden was the one who put that assist through for Kevin De Bruyne. And in the second half, Atletico Madrid came like animals against monsters. I haven't seen John Stones, Laporte, I haven't seen a Pep Guardiola team defend in a way Jose Mourinho would be proud of in that game. We just, all of our defenders, everyone on that day, especially our defenders, died for the badge. Everyone there, John Stones, the blocks he made. Otherwise, Atletico should have scored 1 or 2 goals in that second half. And then Kyle Walker injury. And the season turned on that Kyle Walker injury. You can argue me as much as you like. And the season turned on that Kyle Walker injury. And in that game as well, John Stones felt a little bit uncomfortable. And all of that started, But then we came through that game. Real warriors, warrior mentality. People said that City, with their classy nature, the way they play, are not fit for Champions League. But here we showed them the other side. People were just astounded, especially after this display. People were like, wow, how can a City team play like this? This is another side of a Pep Guardiola team. We haven't seen a Pep Guardiola team play like this. Those were the things. At this point, I thought, okay, Walker was injured. But what I thought was, we could very well go to the last step and win the Champions League actually this season. Because if you could sustain 45 minutes of attack after attack from Atletico Madrid, that to them attacking the home end and in their own stadium, I thought nothing could defeat us. At that point, I was feeling really pumped up after that victory. And then after that match, you go to Liverpool. You have an FA Cup quarter final against Liverpool. I mean, honestly, in this match, we were not expecting much. In this match, at this time, you were thinking, let Liverpool. Actually, I think Liverpool would have won it because Liverpool had their quarterfinals against Benfica. Even this was the turning point in the season. Liverpool had their quarterfinals against Benfica. Liverpool were set up for the semi-finals against Villarreal. We had our quarterfinals against Atletico Madrid, and we were having our semi-finals against Real Madrid. Huge difference, right? Huge difference due to the fixture list, due to the pressure of the title, due to the fitness of our players, everything. This I thought was the most toughest phase of the season, and kudos to the character, mentality of the guys, bottle of the guys that they came through this. And then we lost to Liverpool. I mean, I would like to stress something here. People are telling, but why do you need Haaland? You scored the highest amount of goals this season. You've been doing it season before as well, right? This game was an example of why we needed Haaland. Okay, we went 3-0 down in the first half. We equalized relatively early. Jack Grealish scored the first goal, and after that first goal, Gabriel Jesus gets a one-on-one chance, literally one-on-one, eye to eye with Alisson, doesn't finish. Raheem Sterling gets a one-on-one chance, eye to eye with Alisson, doesn't finish. That is 3 goals, right? We could have scored 3 goals in the 10 minutes at the beginning of the second half. This is the reason why we need Erling Haaland. It is in these cup competitions. So we lose that quarter-final against semi-final against Liverpool, but it was expected, especially with the way we fought against Atletico Madrid. I mean, you see how the week was. Atletico, Liverpool. So literally the chance was in the space of 4 fixtures, just 4 fixtures, space of 10 days, you could be out of, your season is over, out of the FA Cup, out of the Premier League, out of the Champions League. Done, season is done, early vacation, Pep. So we navigated all of that. We are on to the next round of the Champions League, the Premier League. We are solidified. We have not lost anything, though we haven't gained anything. So you are like, you sacrifice FA Cup there. That's fine with the season we are having. And then this is when, after the FA Cup quarter final, I think this was when we had a bit of we didn't have an extended break here also. 3 days afterwards, we play Brighton. And in that Brighton game, I still remember, half-time, 0-0. Pep brings on Zinchenko and changes things. At half-time, after 45 minutes, you were thinking, is this the title? Because this is the time, I mean, the lead between City and Liverpool were just 1 point. We were just 1 point ahead of Liverpool at this time. Last few matches remaining in the season, 0-0 at half-time against Brighton. And you were like thinking, is this the title again? Oh, nothing was breaking for us. It was just like Aston Villa. We were struggling to unlock Brighton. Pep brings on Zinchenko in the second half, and we scored 3 goals. That's done. And I was scared about Brighton because Brighton play us. They come on to us. They challenge us with the possession style of football. So it wasn't easy against Brighton. But we somehow overcame that obstacle. And then the games were relentless. Wednesday, midweek, again Saturday after 4 days, Watford. But this game, I mean, I know we were 2-0 up and then Watford scored. I mean, my heart was in my mouth. Because Watford had Ismail Sarr, they had pacey players, Cuco Fernandes, they have Joao Pedro. So I thought, will Watford do us here? Will lose the title to Watford? But then no. We completed the job relatively comfortably there, and Gabby Jesus, the significance of this game was Gabby Jesus came into form. Gabriel Jesus scored 4 goals. I mean, I think it was literally at this time before the Watford game that we announced Erling Haaland was coming to us and stuff, and it almost seemed like a response from Gabriel Jesus that, well, this is what I can do. 4 goals in a match. We were like, why can't Gabby play like this? Why can't he produce stunning finishes like this day in and day out? And then the next match was against Real Madrid. This was a big one again, and you know, in the first 25 minutes of this match, I know we were 2-0 up. We should have honestly been 5-0 up. This is another match why we need Erling Haaland. And this was the most obvious of matches which showed why we need Erling Haaland. Because Benzema scores from a set cross and and Madrid come back. And you know how the tie is going by. Now 4-3 and Madrid were happy again. and not us. We stuck Madrid with a technical tornado here. Really, it was a technical tornado that struck Madrid. But we go on from. But then after this match, our confidence was not there. I was like, oh wow. Again, it was pressure, 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 and pressure. I didn't know how I survived from literally from 15th of April, from the 6th of April to the end of the season, to 3 days back to Sunday. It was just so difficult. Each match, we were literally thanking that we were alive, especially in the Premier League, because it was just a 1 point lead and nothing else. Then Leeds United City. This was again, Cancelo made a terrible mistake early on. Rafinha raced through in this match. We were like, could we lose the game here? But then City recovered. That match was not easy. Of the 4 goals, we scored 2-3 goals at the end. At least 2 goals at the end. So Leeds came on to us. They were fighting relegation as well. It was another tough match again, but we somehow weathered through it. And we said goodbye to April from then on. And then came this heartbreak going into the final leg of the season. I mean, thinking about this still gives me goosebumps. Thinking about this, I'm like, I still can't speak on this game, even though I'm very happy that we won the title. I mean, still I can't speak on this game. What happened that night? You know what happened that night? After what happened that night? 3 goals, 2 goals in the space of 1 minute. I like it was night in India by the time the game was over, and I like just went out, looked at the sky, and into the darkness, and I was like, oh, what just happened? There was no reaction. I didn't have any answers. I was looking for answers. How did that happen? Okay, small details here and there, but overall there was no indication that would happen. How could a team which showed no appetite, nothing till the 90th minute, just come back at you and do bam bam and just put you out of a competition? Had no answers. The players were devastated. I mean, literally, after a match like that, you would look to the press conference, you would look forward to what the manager has to say in his post-match interview, right? He generally has some soothing words, like Mourinho, for example. He used to pin it on a player, or he would say, well, this is not the most important thing in the world. We still have the Premier League to fight for and all. But Pep Guardiola literally said nothing. He said, even I do not know how it happened. We should not have lost that game. Pep really called it on. He called it on to the team. That really put a lot of pressure on the players, even fans as well. We were like, what the hell? What the hell was happening there? And then the next game, everyone was like, I think people were like, this would be the turning point in this title race, and Liverpool would cruise to the title because City would be mentally broken and we would just give up on the title and stuff like that. But I have to say, I was also surprised with us going to a good Newcastle team, a Newcastle team that almost drew with Liverpool. They just lost 1-0 to Liverpool at Anfield. I mean, at their home, at St. James's Park, not Anfield, sorry. So I was like, this Newcastle is tough. They play possession-based football. Almiron, Alan Maxima, maybe Ryan Fraser would play, Bruno Jimenez, and a lot of people. So how will we deal with it? And then City were like 5-0. Where is the mental barrier? Where is the mental block? A lot of Liverpool fans were surprised as well by what had happened there. And then next game, you go on to Wolves. Gary Neville called it out, saying that Wolves and West Ham, he saw a hiccup happening there. Especially Molineux, not a friendly stadium for City to go into. Molineux Stadium at night is generally not the best stadium to go into under pressure. But it was a Kevin De Bruyne blitz. All over again, Kevin De Bruyne was just blitzing through Wolves there. I know De Bruyne opened the scoring. Tendonker made it 1-1. And then De Bruyne thought, oh well, this is not happening. I'll have to take charge. He hit a weak-footed hat-trick. Scored 4 goals there, De Bruyne. That really scared the shit out of everyone. Scared the crap out of everyone. And then, I mean, after that game, still, people were telling West Ham is the one. See, look at it, how destiny was against us. Again, if West Ham would have gone to the Europa League final, David Moyes would have played a second team against us, because the final was just 2 days after the City match and stuff like that, but nothing. West Ham played the strongest team. They played the team that they would play if they were playing in the Europa League final. They played such a strong team, and we were 2-0 down at halftime. I had no reaction at halftime. What to say? I thought, okay, we could afford a loss there, because when if we lose, if we beat Aston Villa on the final day and we have an healthy goal difference, it will be fine. But then you are thinking Liverpool have to play Southampton. What if they blitz through Southampton? What will you do then? I mean, but then Grealish really took us back in the second half. It was one of the most important comebacks. People will always remember, and they should actually remember. Nothing wrong with it. The Aston Villa won Gundogan, but without this West Ham one, I don't think that Aston Villa won the title actually happens, because we lose against West Ham. I'm pretty sure Liverpool would have hit Southampton for a 6 or 7 goals, and we would have lost the league title actually. So that West Ham was important. Okay, Mahrez misses the penalty, and always it's a good sign. It's an auspicious sign whenever Mahrez misses a penalty, because we won always. It us that at Anfield 18-19 we won the title by 1 point. Here in this season Mahrez misses the penalty. You need to be a brave fellow to guess against what could have actually happened. And then you get into the last game of the season. Aston Villa, City, Liverpool, quadruple hopes. Well, Steven Gerrard, Philippe Coutinho. There was a lot of pressure on us, and Liverpool by this time have won the FA Cup as well, I think, before we played West Ham only. So literally, if they defeated us, they were closer to quadruple, because I do think Liverpool are a stronger team than Real Madrid. Doesn't mean they'll win the Champions League, but they're a better team and a stronger team than Real Madrid actually. So we had to win this, otherwise Liverpool win the quadruple. Pressure was so much on. And then Aston Villa scored the first goal. We are unable to unlock Aston Villa. And then Aston Villa scored the second goal. Philippe Coutinho scores it. The camera zooms to Gerrard. And it was, you're like, wow, all of the conspiracy theorists in the world would be having a party here. Wow. Philippe Coutinho scoring, Steven Gerrard, has he redeemed himself and has he won the title? Has he made up for that slip those years ago that gifted City the title? Has he snatched the title now from City and redeemed himself? That's your first thought. How will City get back? That to the second goal. Unlike West Ham, second goal didn't happen before halftime. If it happened before halftime, you are like Pep would call you when 2 goals down, doesn't matter, and you'd come into the second half stronger. But here it happened at 67th minute, and by the 75th minute you were like 2-0 down, 3 goals. You have to score 3 goals in 15 minutes for the title. And then Liverpool were drawing against Wolves 1-1, but at that point it seemed like you were just waiting for Liverpool to score that goal and clinch the Premier League title. And then in came Ilkay Gundogan, the best midfielder with the secondary runs. Sterling, excellent wing play, puts in a cross, Gundogan heads it. Okay, 1-0, but still 2 more goals. Everyone was confident at that point. In the sense, Liverpool fans were confident at that point. I was like, still 2 goals. Okay, 1 gone, but 2 more. I think the turning point of this game was Rodri's side-footing that goal. That was, if you see, this is not the first goal he side-footed this season. Just go back to the starting of the season when we played Arsenal and defeated them final. Rodri's side, it was exactly the same finish where he beats Ramsdale. So people telling Olsen should have done well. Rodri has done it even before in this season. The side footer into the corner of the net. And Rodri scores that goal literally in the space of a minute. Looks like we've taken something out of that Real Madrid game and put it to our own use. So Rodri was like 2-2, and then once the second goal went in, you were like, no matter who comes, we are gonna score the third. The stadium was rocking, the momentum was with us, and then if the second goal wasn't there, I'm sure the Tyrone Mings would not have made that mistake. So, and then De Bruyne snatches that ball of Tyron Mings, then passes it to Gundogan, and then it was Gundogan's Aguero moment. All of us have reacted to that. I mean, what a special moment that was. We just came back against an 11-man Aston Villa with Liverpool almost winning the title over there when the odds were against us. A well-drilled Aston Villa defense with the stadium pensive, the stadium anxious. One of the best things I would say this season. I mean, one of the best seasons I would say. I mean, this season really comes, this game, that Aston Villa, that finale game, it really comes close to that Aguero moment, literally. People can say Aguero moment is better, but if you ask me in the circumstances, I think what we have done here, coming back with 3 goals, is much more difficult than what Aguero did, I think, over there, because QPR were 10 men and stuff like that. So for me, I think I rank this as higher than that Aguero moment. And the Aguero moment for me comes literally as, they're very close, but it comes second to me. And then the third one for me is the 2018-19 title race. People say, what is the difference between 18-19 title race and this one? Well, in that, because even in there we lost to Spurs of the last whistle in the Champions League and came to win the Premier League title with 1 point, right? But in that game we were 7 points behind Liverpool in February. We had the momentum, when you make up 7 points and enter into March and April, you just can't even imagine the momentum the team just generates. This is what I was afraid of here. At one point, Liverpool were 14 points. Okay, with 2 games in hand, they were 14 points away from us, and then they gathered momentum. They literally didn't lose anything in the second part of the season except drawing to Spurs. That's what Liverpool fans are crying about. They're having tears about the fact that we didn't lose anything. We just drew against Spurs in the second half of the season, and yet we don't have a league title. How perfect should you be with this Manchester City team? Literally, they're moaning about it, they're crying about it. So I was afraid of that. You have a team that made up 14 points. So the momentum is with them. You have surrendered a 14-point lead, okay, 8-point lead with 2 games in hand, and then you have gone out against Real Madrid in that way. So the momentum is not with you, the mentality is not with you. You have scraped through a few games in between, whereas the opposition is just winning everything. How do you react? And that's why this league title is much more difficult than whatever else previously, because of the opponent chasing us, like Pep Guardiola said, because of the mentality barriers you had to go through, because of the emotions you had to go through. Literally, this title, especially the last 3, 4, 5 games after that Real Madrid game, was all about mentality. It was all about playing against ourselves rather than the opposition team. It was all about character, personality, and it was a big show of. And it was a big show of the finger to Patrice Evra for whatever he had said. It was a big punch in the face to all of those pundits who were like literally doubting City's character, telling that I remember one of the guys in a fan channel, he was telling, it was the 73rd minute, and he was telling, if City don't win this, City are the greatest bottle jobs. If City let this title get through their hands, they are one of the biggest bottle jobs the Premier League era has ever seen. That's what the guy said at the 73rd minute exactly in one of the fan channels. So you were literally playing against all of these comments, all of these emotions. All your fans, if you let the title slip through after 14-point lead or whatever, all your fans would look like absolute prats. How would we gather the energy, that moral fiber lot of elements. Lot of elements. How could the players gather the energy, first of all, to get up the next morning? That's what Pep said after the Madrid game. We played a perfect Champions League. We played the 2 perfect semi-finals. The players couldn't get up for 2 days. They couldn't even go out. That's how difficult it was. Rodri said it. We were finding it difficult to do any other thing. Those thoughts were bugging us. If we had let this Premier League title slip through our grasp, all of those thoughts would bug through us, our players, through us, through everyone, through the summer, till the next season. So this title was not just about, winning it. There were so many more things around it which we are shut down by winning it. None more important than that personality, character, all of those comments. So one of the most satisfying title wins for me, I would say. One of the most satisfying title wins. It tops the Aguero win for me as well. So a fantastic memory lane, I would say, just scrolling through all of these fixtures. When I was going through all of these fixtures, I was feeling like each of them had just happened yesterday. We remember them so well, right? Each of these fixtures, especially the last ones, where after each fixture we were just letting a huge breath out that we survived for the next fixture, We literally played 10 cup finals because each fixture was almost a cup final. So fantastic Premier League season now feels very good, extremely good, but it wasn't as we were going through each fixture, as we were reliving the memories. But a great season to look back upon, had its highs, had its lows, but at the end, the way it has finished, it gave us our memories. It was a memory lane. It was a trip down the memory lane filled with nostalgia. In the next seasons, even if we remember these, I'm sure we will just get nostalgic. I was just watching all of the goals we scored this season today morning, and I was just feeling it. Wow, that was just it. Again, got me goosebumps, especially that West Ham game, Wolves game, Aston Villa game, Leeds game, even. So I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this show. You have liked this, getting back down the memory lane, reliving all of that nostalgic moments. I really hope you have liked this. And there's a lot more to come on this channel. We'll be there with all of the latest transfer news. Not just news. This is a fan channel, so we'll be discussing what we should try to do in the summer. How should a transfer window look like? Because now people are saying your transfer window could be as predictable as the back of your hand, but no, there are many facets to a transfer window, especially whom will you buy at left back, whom will you buy at center back, all of those things. So it's not center back, I'm sorry, CDM. So there are a lot of facets, lot of subplots into what happens this transfer window. Will Gabriel Jesus go? Where will Julian Alvarez fit in? People are telling Haaland is coming and City have to change their entire style for him, which I completely disagree. So a lot of things to look forward to, but I hope you have enjoyed this trip down the memory lane. If you're liking this content, click on the like button. Also do click on the bell icon and the subscribe button so that you get notifications whenever we come to you with new videos. And anyway, thank you so much for listening to this and staying on with us. Thank you, take care, and see you all.